Picture this. You're standing before the great altar of the ancient temple. It's not just cold stone and fire, though. In the crisp, cool air of dawn, you can feel this energy, almost like a low hum in the air. The polished stones seem to glow from within, and as the flames rise, they split. Part of the flame shoots up in this perfect, shimmering column, carrying something you can't see, something totally ethereal, straight towards the heavens. But at the exact same time, a heavier smoke, thick with the smell of spices and earth, actually drifts down, spreading out into the shadows at the base of the altar. You're seeing two distinct flows, one going up to channels of pure light, the other going down to, well, to satisfy something else, something vast and unseen. So what if this isn't just a ritual? What if what we're looking at is a kind of spiritual technology?
You know, we're all taught to see ancient sacrifice as this kind of primitive act, right? A gift to appease some angry god in the sky. But what if that's a massive misunderstanding? What if the entire process was something else entirely? A sophisticated, precise, and honestly, a breathtakingly elegant operation designed to manage the very operating system of reality? What if it was really a cosmic reboot, designed to restore balance to the entire universe?
Okay, so let's really dive into this. We have to completely reframe how we think about this ancient practice. So forget the idea of just giving something up. I want you to start thinking of it as a spiritual technology, a finely tuned instrument designed to interact with the fundamental forces of creation. This was never about appeasing God, it was about aligning with the very architecture of reality. And the name itself gives us the first big clue. The Hebrew word is Korban, and it comes from a root that means to draw near or to connect. See, it's not about pushing something away from yourself. It's about bringing things closer, forging a connection, a link. The entire point was to create a very specific kind of proximity, to realign different layers of existence. This wasn't just some vague hope, it was a precision operation. But what exactly was it designed to fix?
Okay, so think about it. Every sophisticated system, whether it's a computer network, an ecosystem, or your own body, has a vulnerability, right? A point of entropy it has to manage to keep itself going. Well, according to the Zohar's blueprint of reality, the cosmic operating system is no different. There is a built-in force, a universal law, that the system has to constantly account for. The Zohar gives this vulnerability a specific name, Ketz Kol Basar, which literally translates to the end of all flesh. Now, it is so important to understand what this is. This is not a devil with a pitchfork. It's a fundamental principle of reality. It's more like cosmic entropy, a universal force of dissolution and consumption that is naturally drawn to the purely physical, the fleshy side of existence, especially when it's not checked by a higher spiritual intention. It's the force that just breaks things down, the natural endpoint of all material things.
And here's the critical insight. This force has a very specific appetite. The Zohar puts it so plainly. Its entire desire is for flesh. It's not interested in your spirit or your intention or holiness. It has a singular focus. And that, right there, is the key. Because if you know exactly what a force is drawn to, you can build a system to manage it. You can direct it. And that is precisely what the Korban was designed to do.
And this brings us to the absolute genius of the system. The Korban wasn't about trying to destroy the end of all flesh. You can't destroy a fundamental law of physics, right? No. Instead, it was this incredible technology for controlled distribution. It ingeniously splits the offering into two totally separate channels, sending different resources to different destinations. By doing this, it satisfies all parts of the cosmic system and brings everything back into balance.
This slide here really visualizes this dual-channel process perfectly. So on one side, you've got the ascending flow. This is the spiritual part, the essence, the intention, the kavana of the person bringing the offering. You can think of this like clean, refined data getting routed upwards, straight to the core servers of holiness. But at the exact same time, you have the offloaded flow. This is the raw physicality, the basar, or the flesh. Think of it as the system's residual load or junk data. It isn't destroyed, it's consciously and safely routed to a cosmic sandbox. It's given as a measured portion to the end of all flesh, which satisfies its appetite and completely neutralizes its potential to mess with the main system.
And look, this isn't some modern spin we're putting on it. The Zohar itself spells this out crystal clear. It says the intention, the ra'uta, ascends to one place, while the flesh, the basra, goes to a completely different place. It's literally the ancient blueprint for this dual-channel spiritual technology. It's a system that keeps the cosmos pure by giving the forces of sheer materiality their proper, controlled portion so they don't latch onto things where they don't belong.
So let's get into how this is actually built into the system. This wasn't just some abstract idea. It was mapped onto the very architecture of reality, what the Kabbalists call the Sefirot. And for our purposes, we can just think of the Sefirot as a divine flowchart, the specific channels and processors that direct this incredibly complex flow of energy.
So how does this spiritual machine actually work? Let's walk through it step by step. It all kicks off at the altar, which corresponds to the Sephirah of Tiferet, or harmony. This is the system's central processing unit, you could say, the great harmonizer. It takes in the offering and starts that critical separation process. It's the hub where spirit and matter are sorted. Okay, next, from Tiferet, the holy intention, that pure, refined data, ascends. It gets channeled up through Yesod, the foundation. Yesod is like the pure conduit, the high-speed fiber optic cable that routes this spiritual essence upward to the higher, holy realms. This is the sacred flow that feeds the whole system of life and connection. But what about the other part? At the same time, the physical aspect gets diverted. It's intelligently offloaded to what the mystics call the left side, and specifically to the Sephirah of Gevura, the domain of judgment and severity. This is the designated isolated zone for that cosmic force we talked about, the Ketzkol Basar. It gets its portion right here, safely and under control. This satisfies its nature without letting it run wild and cause chaos. So when both of these flows are done, when the holy part has ascended and the material part has been properly allocated, the final result is felt right here in Malkut, our physical world, the kingdom. The system finds its equilibrium, and our world is brought back into a state of profound balance and stability.
This chart gives us a perfect dashboard view of what a healthy cosmic system looks like. You can see the ascending flow of holy intention is high. That's the white and gold light reaching the top. Then the offloaded flow of materiality, shown in red and black, is managed and contained. And notice, it's not at zero, but it's controlled. And what's the result? The third bar, overall system stability, is at optimal. The system is clean, it's balanced, and it's functioning exactly as it was designed to, because every single force has gotten its proper due in its proper place.
Now you might be thinking, okay, this is a fascinating blueprint for an ancient world, but we don't have a temple or an altar anymore, so what does this have to do with me? And the answer is that while the physical interface, that stone altar, is gone, the underlying cosmic operating system is still running. These principles are active right here, right now in our own lives, and we can absolutely learn to use them.
Let's make this super practical. Think of it like a video game. You're in a dungeon, and there's a big, powerful dragon you have to defeat. But all around you are these annoying little gremlins that keep nipping at your ankles, distracting you. Now, you could waste all your powerful magic fighting them off, or you could use a different strategy. You know these gremlins are obsessed with shiny things. So you just toss a handful of worthless, shiny pebbles into a corner. What happens? They all scamper over to fight over them, and they are completely occupied. You haven't destroyed them, but you've given their nature its due. You've neutralized them. And now you're free to focus your true power on the real challenge, the dragon. That's the principle of the Korban.
Or, for all the engineers out there, think of a supercomputer designed for incredibly complex calculations. The main processors are doing the brilliant, world-changing work, but that work generates a ton of waste heat and error logs. If that junk data and heat isn't managed, it'll melt the core processors and corrupt the entire system. So a brilliant engineer designs a secondary system, a dedicated heat sink or a separate logging server. All the waste, the heat, the errors, the system noise, gets routed there. That secondary system's whole job is just to absorb and process it all, keeping the core system pristine and running at peak performance. That is exactly what the altar did. It protected holiness by intelligently managing the system's waste heat.
So this ancient blueprint leaves us with a really modern and a really personal question. Think about the challenges in your life, your anxieties, your bad habits, the negative patterns you keep falling into. Our first instinct is almost always to go to war with them, right? To try and completely destroy these things. But what if that's just the wrong approach? What if, like the Ketzkol Basar, these are forces whose nature is simply to consume? Where in your life are you trying to destroy a problem, when the more effective, the more elegant solution might be to neutralize it by giving it a specific, controlled, and conscious portion, so that you can free up your true energy for what really matters?
Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.